Hello, welcome to Alyssa Jean's Reviews. My name is Alyssa, and welcome to my monthly Transition Life update for July 2022. So, at least once a month, I will put out a video in which I update on how my transition is going, how my HRT, hormone replacement therapy, is going, or just talk about whatever happens to be on my mind on that particular day. Related to transgender people or LGBTQ people or myself personally or whatever. This month I don't have a particular topic in that area to talk about, so I don't really have a whole lot to talk about actually. I think what I mainly want to focus on is a couple anniversaries, personal anniversaries that are coming up really soon. The second of which I'm going to talk more about next month because it happens in August. But the first one is 2 days from now, and that's on July 17th. And that is what I like to call in my own head coming out day, because it is the day that I started coming out to massive amounts of my friends. Now, actually, the first person that I came out to was a very dear friend of mine who I trusted deeply, who I came out to a few days before the 17th, but I don't remember what day that was. So I think the 17th is coming out day because that's when I started coming out to a bunch of people at once. That day I sent out an email, which I think I had 5 of my friends on. And then very shortly after that, I started coming out to my brothers and then my parents. So that kind of opened the floodgates on July 17th. And I remember July 17th specifically because, as I said in my 1-year transition timeline, that was a day that originally I was going to go see my favorite band in the world, Fish, at the Gorge, which, regardless of which kind of music you're into, you should go to the Gorge in Washington, Eastern Washington. It's the most beautiful music venue in the world, in my opinion. All due respect to Red Rocks. I love Red Rocks too. There's, I feel like, an ongoing debate between people who live in the Pacific Northwest and people who live in Colorado. They're both beautiful venues, but I like the Gorge better. Anyways, that ended up happening in August 2021 instead, but it was originally supposed to happen starting July 17th. And that date also sticks in my head because I saw a really, really good show at the Gorge in 1998 on that day, and I always remember that particular date as well. And when you're nerds about the Grateful Dead and Fish, stuff like that, you listen to live recordings a lot, and that was one of my favorite live recordings to listen to, was 7/17/98. So that date stuck in my head, and that's how I remember that it's coming out day, because I remember thinking specifically I was supposed to be with these people, my friends, having a good time, dancing, partying, being together, enjoying each other's company, but we could not because of COVID. So I thought it was an appropriate day instead to come out. And it went swimmingly well. Everybody was amazing. One of my friends called me right after he read my email and said, I wanted to congratulate you for getting to be your true self. And I got a little teary-eyed. It was very sweet. So it was pretty amazing. So July 17th has some significance for me. I don't do anything for it. I'm not going to celebrate. Last year on July 17th, my parents were visiting, so I would just hung out with my parents. Didn't do anything particular. This year I'm going to actually go back east to visit them, but in a couple of weeks. I'm not going to do anything special, but I do like to just mark it in my head. Oh, this is coming out day. This will be the second annual coming out date. That's just a huge deal. It's a huge deal because coming out is such a hard thing to do. Even when you are fairly sure that the people are going to be accepting. It's still difficult when it's something that you've lived your whole life keeping deeply, 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 deeply buried within you and never ever verbalizing it, never putting it out there. It's very, very hard. So when I did it and it got a positive reception, it was a big deal. So I like to celebrate, in my head at least, coming out day if I don't actually physically do anything to celebrate it. The next anniversary coming up is my 2-year HRT anniversary, which will be on August 4th. And I will do a video about that closer to that date. And then I will also be releasing my 2-year transition timeline, which I'm already working on. I've actually got it completed up through the end of June, beginning of July, but I'm going to add a little more photos. I'm going to do a big photo shoot on that day, August 4th, just as I did last year, and that will be like kind of the grand finale, the end of my transition timeline, year 2. And so I've been working on it, so that will come out around August 5th-ish or so, August 6th, however long it takes me to complete my transition timeline after I get a photo shoot on August 4th. So that is coming, and I'm going to tell you right now that it is vastly superior to my 1-year transition timeline, for those of you who have seen it. And if you haven't, I mean, I guess go watch it, but I would rather you just kind of wait for my 2-year one, because honestly, after looking at what I'm doing with my 2-year one, I'm kind of embarrassed by the 1-year one, mainly because when I started working on my 1-year transition timeline, I actually started working on it like in 2020, and I was working on it all throughout the year and adding pictures to it. I wasn't familiar with Canva yet. Canva is the online program that I use to make all my thumbnails and stuff for my channel. And I am now using it to make my 2-year transition timeline, because instead of having like one photo for 4 to 6 seconds, another photo for 4 to 6 seconds, a whole bunch of text that I give you like 10 seconds to read it, this time I can like combine like 3 photos and text all in one slide, because I know how to use Canva now, and it's actually super easy, barely an inconvenience. So because of it, my 2-year transition timeline is going to end up being a shorter video than my 1-year transition timeline, which only goes up to 2021. This one's going to go up to August 2022, and yet the video is going to be shorter because I found a more efficient way of getting all my photos and text out there. Also, I try to change up some of the photos a little bit. There's definitely going to be a lot of the photos taken out because the year 2021 would have had a lot more detail put into it for my 1-year transition timeline, where the 2-year transition timeline has a whole bunch of late 2021 into 2022 photos that were not available yet, obviously, because it hadn't happened for my 1-year transition timeline. So more of the focus is on that. And that actually will include my obsession with fish and going to the gorge. It was a 3-night run at the gorge in late August of 2021, and that's on there, and I'm really excited about it. Because here's the thing, and I did write this out in a text on one of the slides in the transition timeline that I'm creating that you'll see in a few weeks, that one of the fun things about transitioning is getting to do all of the things that you really love, but getting to do them again for the first time as a woman, as your true self, or if you were female to male, as a man. However, whatever way you're going. For me, to get to do the things that I love for the first time as a girl is amazing. And especially when those things are taken from you because of COVID and you can't do them, such as going to see live music and going to see my favorite band in particular I couldn't do it for so long. So to finally get to do it and get to do it for the first time as my genuine self was, as I say in my video, which you'll see soon, it was amazeballs. It was amazeballs. It was amazing. So that will be in photographs for you to see in my second year transition timeline. And the last thing I wanted to say in this video, just a really short reflection. I'll probably do more reflecting on the past 2 years next month. But as I was kind of going through and putting together my transition timeline and looking at photos of when I first decided to transition, a couple things struck me. One, I am slightly embarrassed about how I look because I was wearing wigs because I hadn't grown my hair out yet. And the wig that I had at the time had looked awful on the hairline, so I wear hats a lot in those photos. There's a particular like round like safari looking hat that I wear a lot because I was kind of embarrassed by the hairline of that wig, and I ended up getting a second wig in August. And then that wig had its own issues, but that's a whole other story. And I hadn't learned how to do makeup yet. One of my good friends taught me how to do makeup at the end of August of 2021, which is also included in that timeline. But actually, I'm sorry, of 2020, a year back. I'm getting all mixed up now. 2020. I learned how to do makeup. So in these initial photos, I hadn't learned how to do makeup yet. Didn't know what I was doing. And I was trying different styles. Some of the clothes that I was trying didn't really work for me. I was like experimenting a lot. Any trans person will probably tell you that that beginning part is awkward. It's hard. And I'm talking about like even before July 17th coming out day, like before I came out to anyone, and I was just dressing as my true self at home privately whenever I could. At the time I had a roommate, so I can only do it when she wasn't there because I wasn't out to her. I wasn't out to anyone. So I was, whenever I was alone, then I would just dress up the way that I felt like I wanted to be. And I was really, really excited because I knew that soon I would be able to just do this publicly. And so the first thing I noticed was that, looking back at these now, is that I'm a little embarrassed by it. But the second thing I noticed is, despite how, how much I've learned since then and how embarrassing it might be now to look at those photos, I am joyous. I am super happy. It's the definition of trans joy. Looking at myself in those photos, which is why I get a lot of joy looking at it in other people, such as all of those photos that Elliot Page was putting out there that will come across my social media feeds, because I subscribe to Pink News and other kind of LGBTQ sites and news sites and organizations and stuff. So I would see a lot of those, like Elliot Page trans joy photos, and those make me so happy because I recognize myself in that. Even though he obviously female to male, I'm male to female, it's the same kind of joy. And I'm pretty sure I've talked about this in some other video that I vaguely remember talking about this before, but it remains true. So that's why I'm so touched by someone like him who gets to broadcast that out to the world for millions of people to see, and God knows how many trans people who are in the closet, like I was for a very long time, to see that and see what that joy looks like. So I really appreciate seeing him as just one example, but just anyone, just anyone, doesn't even have to be anyone famous that I see that expresses that trans joy. It warms my heart because now, and it felt really good to look back and see it in myself. Even if like my wig looks terrible and I don't know how to do makeup yet and the clothing isn't working right for me yet, doesn't matter. Like, so it was really neat, like looking back at those photos. It is Not as weird as I thought it would be, though, to look back at my old photos before I transitioned, because that's, what the first part of my transition timeline is me with the beard and me presenting as male, which I did for most of my life. That's not as weird as I would think it would be, honestly, because I have no regrets for who I was, but I'm happy to be who I am. And with that note, I think it's time to end my rambling. Um, don't really have much to say on my HRT. I do think the breast development is gradually increasing. I don't know that it's going to get much more than this with me approaching my 2 year on HRT. Um, so I don't know. We'll see. Next month, I'll talk more about my reflections on my 2 years on HRT, and I may or may not have a big announcement related to my transition. Not sure yet. We'll wait and see. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me this month. Please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. If you're only into my transition videos, I do those once a month. But if you're also into Star Trek, Star Wars, and the MCU, or any other fantasy sci-fi type of stuff that I cover on my channel, check all that out as well. And subscribe, like. And I will see you soon. Goodbye, everybody.